Welcome back, everybody. It's time for another Q&A. Now, a couple of quick announcements before I begin. First up, I do have channel memberships, which I'll be gifting some of those during the premiere of every one of my Q&As. That is just extra content I give for people who want to deep dive into additional content. A few people complained about memberships last time. I'm going to address that a little bit later. Next up, I do have a Discord, which I give away a bunch of the stuff that I'm no longer using, stuff that was featured in my videos. I'll also have a link for that as well. And finally, if you like short content, I do have a shorts channel in which I have hundreds of clips of all the products that I've reviewed over the years. So with that, let's get to the first question. This person asks, what is hands down the best cool air gadget you've tested? A certain neck fan or something else? It is definitely the Coolify 2. It's not just a cooling gadget, it's also a heating gadget. I wear this in the summertime to stay cool. It's really good if you have a fever. In the wintertime, I've worn it to stay warm, and if I have a neck pain, I apply the heat there as well. I think there's a Coolify 3, but I found this one to be so good, I've never had a reason to upgrade. Jackie's Channel About Nothing asks, has anyone ever threatened legal action for a bad review? Now, years ago, before I was even on YouTube and I was writing reviews, I did a review of a supplement that I said didn't work for me. Well, that company apparently had deep pockets and they were freaking out, so they sent me this nasty letter threatening to sue me. I ended up having to hire a pretty expensive lawyer, but it was the guy who wrote the anti-slap laws here in Nevada, and he made them go away. On YouTube, one time early on, I had one of the Ask the DV companies send me kind of a nasty threatening letter. Fortunately, at that point, I had a contact of the company, so I wrote to them and I said, can you get your lawyers off my back? And I kind of implied I would post their letter publicly, and they never wrote back again. I'm usually pretty careful about saying things like, I think, this is my opinion, I feel that, because when you say those things, they have a hard time really going after you. Question from Discord, will there ever be merch? I think I'm finally actually getting around to doing it for real this time. I've started and stopped over the years. I finally think I have merch coming. I also have a new store in the works as well, so I'm not quite ready to make an announcement on that yet. But if all goes well, I should have merch and a new store before Christmas. Someone anonymously on Discord asks, has anyone noticed that in 2021 you started posting videos with the seconds that match the year? 2021 videos are X minutes and 21 seconds long. Not a lot of people seem to realize that. When you look at my channel, it becomes more obvious, but I can't say I really have a good reason for doing that, but once I started, I didn't want to stop. At one point, I started ending all my videos right at 0. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I just started ending them with whatever year it is, so whenever you see it in your feed, you'll know what year it was from. At this point, it's just kind of a fun little Easter egg I put out there, and not a lot of people seem to notice it. This person asked, can you explain the two different recording locations? One is the gravel backyard home, and the other looked like a more modern kitchen. Well, for a while, I did have a place where I was filming my kitchen product reviews because I didn't really like the way this one looked in the background. Prior to redoing my cabinets, everything was kind of 90s yellow. I just kind of blended in with it. But after I got my wall redone and my cabinets done, I felt like it was best to come back here and film back at my normal house. From Discord, we have you met any famous people because of your YouTube career? And not too many. I mean, other YouTubers, if you consider them famous, but I did have an NFL player one time write to me and say he was a viewer of my channel. That was kind of cool. I do sometimes wonder if maybe there's someone I'm a big fan of that's run across one of my videos. It'd be kind of cool to think about that, but as far as I know, it hasn't happened yet. I got two similar questions here. This person says, after you buy the stuff, do you get rid of most of them, store them in a storage facility? How can you afford any of it beyond 50 bucks? Some of it isn't worth it. The other person asked, do you keep everything you review or do you give away to donate to some stuff? Also, do you have any pictures of Bailey as a pup? First up, how about a Bailey collection? Second of all, regarding the stuff that I review, I've recently started giving them a lot of that way on Discord. I will keep anything that I think I'm going to use or I think I might pull out for a future review. Anything I don't review, I'm going to pretty much donate or give away on Discord at this point. And as far as affording it goes, it's pretty much a business expense at this point. I kind of have to do it. If I want to review something, I got to pay for it, even if it's over 50 bucks. Rare Trash 9702 asks, any chance you have a favorite Twilight Zone episode? Not only do I have a favorite Twilight Zone episode, but I have a favorite one of the reboot from the 80s. Of the OG Twilight Zone, my favorite one is where the Earth is moving closer and closer to the sun. It's getting hotter and hotter, and then the person wakes up and they're actually moving further and further away from the sun. That's kind of a cool twist. In the 80s, they had a reboot of the Twilight Zone. There was one where a historian in the future went back in time and accidentally prevented the JFK assassination. That was a good episode. Barbara Jean 8351 says she bought the pan I just talked about. Is there a trick to getting the handle on? No matter what, mine is loose. I assume you're talking about the Sensarte pan, and no, I didn't have that problem at all, and I just screwed it in and it's been rock solid. I'd reach out to the company and see if they can maybe send you a replacement, because that does not sound normal. From Discord, the question asks, would you want any of your family to start their own review channels? Well, Brand did have a review channel for quite a while. He was doing food, and I had no problem with that, and I was in a lot of his videos. It's just, you know, YouTube's not for everybody. Even if you do it for a while, you know, eventually some people just find it's not for them, and that was kind of the case for Brand. It's not for everybody. It's kind of a grind. So I'm not opposed to it, but I do know that being realistic about it, YouTube is not for everybody. This person asked, do you film all videos by yourself? Not the ones with an obvious selfie stick, but the videos where you walk or seen from behind. Sometimes I think you must have a camera person with you. I mean, it kind of varies. Sometimes I do have someone holding my camera for me, but a lot of times I actually do the old, put the camera down, walk past it, and then go get the camera. In fact, let me show you how I do that. All right, so this is the old Casey Neistat walk by the camera trick. Check it out. First thing we do is take my camera, place it down right there, hit record. Now we're gonna walk back over here. Take a few steps back. There's the camera. Now we casually walk past the camera, and we're past it. Turn around this way and casually walk again. And then go back and get my camera. Little quick edits, and it looks a little bit like this. Got a couple questions from Discord. First up, Owen wants to know if I've seen a drop in overall quality from vintage gadgets versus those produced today. I would say in some cases yes, in some cases no. Usually if it's electronics from older products, especially something like Ronco, the electronics seem really kind of like something that Grandpa did in his garage. I found electronics in a lot of those older gadgets, at least for some of the lower end companies at the time, not very good. But on the other hand, some of the raw materials, like for example, the 1950s chopper I have from Ronco, that still works. And it's probably better than those made today. So I would say in general materials, probably better back then. Sometimes electronics, not so much. BW8442 asks, how old is Bailey? Bailey is 9.5 years old. She was born January 30th, 2015. So that means this coming January, she's going to be 10 years old. I know what the typical lifespan of a golden retriever is. All I can say is that I hope Bailey goes far beyond that, because she's been a joy to my life. Now, Seth in Family 6 asks, has there been a product that you reviewed that failed in its primary purpose, but perhaps worked well for alternative uses? Now, I'm sure there's many examples, but the most recent one I can think of, I just did in my last update, and that's the sand cloud towel. I thought it worked maybe slightly better than a regular towel at the beach, but nothing really to write home about. But after a while, I started putting it on one of my couches to keep Bailey's hair off of it. So in that case, I think it's actually worked quite well as a throw blanket as opposed to an anti-sand towel. Owen asks, for a guy with a stacked kitchen, do I need the Hamilton Beach breakfast sandwich maker? Since I saw your review, I'm obsessed with it, but likely can do better with the tools I have. I think your hunch is right. I love that gadget because it's just so interesting and it's so innovative. But on the other hand, I just made a breakfast sandwich the other day, and I used a pan and my toaster. I use a 12-inch pan so I can do the Canadian bacon and the egg in the same pan. Throw an English muffin in the toaster, and the pan's easier to clean. The Hamilton Beach breakfast sandwich maker is a little bit more difficult to clean, so it's fun to use, but I don't think it's better than just using a pan and a toaster. From Discord, what vintage ASEAN TV product from the early 90s or before would you like to see make a comeback? I would say my sentimental favorite would be the Kitchen Magician, which I remember from being pretty young. My dad was using it. You had to turn a crank and you would slice potatoes. I'm not sure that's necessarily better than what's out there, but it would be kind of nice to see it since I have some childhood memories of it. This person asks, what's your favorite city? Well, I would say to visit somewhere in Hawaii. That's the place I always go to. I can never seem to get enough of that place. I've been to Honolulu the most. I really loved Lahaina, man. That fire just tore me apart. I feel so bad about what happened with that. And I have also been over to Hana a few times there as well, but I would say the place I visited the most would be Honolulu. Now, my favorite city to live in, I've been in Las Vegas for 30 years. I haven't found any place better. I know everybody has their own requirements, but for me, this city has everything I need. But as far as nostalgia purposes go, that would be Warner Robins, Georgia, and Jacksonville, Florida. Those are the two cities where I grew up. Warped Record wants to know, is this your day job and are there tax consequences of reviewing products for this site? It is my day job. It has been since 2017, and it's just a business. All the products I buy are business expenses, so I claim them as a business expense. Fortunately, I have an accountant who kind of understands that, because I would be lost without him. I appreciate my accountant. He's very good. Duckboy112 asks, what's something that you wish viewers knew about you that we probably don't? Well, I think a lot of my newer viewers don't realize that I don't take any kind of sponsorships whatsoever. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is how many I don't take. When I open my email every day, I'll see the words partnership, brand deal, sponsorship, and I just delete them. I don't even read them. I don't even know who they're from. I just delete, probably dozens a day. It's probably not the best business decision I ever made, but to me, a paid sponsorship for something reviewing is an ad, not a review. This person asks, what do you like to do outside of making videos? Do you have any hobbies? I do like to travel, but I'm doing that less and less these days. At home, lately, it's been listening to the entire discographies of artists and binging old movies from the 1920s to the 1940s. That's pretty much all I do. I like to go out to eat once in a while and try new things that way, but I don't like to get out that much. I'm kind of a recluse. This person asks, if you were to rank your top 3 best, most used products of all time that you've reviewed, what would they be? Now, I've always said that the bed jet's my favorite product of all time, and I maintain that I use it every day, multiple times a day if I take a nap. Beyond that, it's kind of hard because there's so many products I use on a daily basis. I mean, just off the top of my head, the Beauty Rest pillow, I still use 5 years later. Something like the bowl huggers, I use that almost every day. The Gotham Steel pasta pot, the Gillette Fusion 5 razor. It's hard to make a top 3, but those are some of the products I use on a daily basis. Another one from Discord, what is your favorite knockoff item that was better than the original? I would say in some cases, probably some of those early SC on TV products I reviewed. Knockoffs that were better came out later. The Bell & Howell disc lights, the knockoffs are definitely better than that. I think in Star Shower Motion, better versions came out that were knockoffs as well. So, some of the tactical products like the Tac Light, Tac Glasses, you can find better knockoffs than what they put out back then. It doesn't usually happen, but in the case of SC on TV products, it's not uncommon. This person asks, would you consider reviewing movies, mostly Deadpool and Wolverine, the best movie I've ever seen? Man, I would probably be a terrible movie reviewer because I'm pretty easily entertained. If there's a plot twist, I never pick up on it. If there's a deeper meaning, I usually miss it. I just kind of take it at face value, and I had kind of low-brow humor as well. I tend to like most movies I watch, even the ones that I realize aren't very good. Bradass TV wants to know if there's any big trips coming up in the next year. Now, I only have one small trip to Huntington Beach picked out for early October. Beyond that, I have nothing. I'd love to go back to Hawaii because it's my favorite place to go to, but I have nothing planned. Also, my dogs are getting kind of old. You know, I kind of feel bad leaving them for very long. You know, like they're like your children. And the older they get, the less I really want to leave them for very long. But with that said, I'm hoping to squeeze another trip to Hawaii at some point, but we shall see. Orange Beans wants to know, when I order products from Amazon, how do I choose what I want to review? Well, that's a tough one. I usually buy anything that looks interesting, anything that looks weird or potentially useful, or it's a bestseller. Sometimes I'm doing a collection of a certain type of product, so I'm looking for those, so it really varies. But the most important thing is, will people find this of interest, whether it's really bad, really good, really weird, and I take it from there. A lot of times I buy products and then after the fact I realize it's not that interesting, I don't review it at all. So I've got probably over 100 products I never reviewed for that reason. Angela MK2 asked, do you plan your meals for the day based on what products you're reviewing? For example, deciding to eat only eggs for the day when reviewing egg products. That's actually a good question, and that's exactly what happens. Whatever I'm reviewing that day, that's gonna be what I'm eating for the rest of the day. And sometimes I'll be eating it for days afterwards. I recently tested out a peeler, I've been eating potatoes every day. Tested a popsicle sleeve, I've been chipping away at these every day as well. So that's a pretty good assumption. Whatever I'm gonna be reviewing is pretty much my meal for that day or the next. Got a member question here. Advanced Magnification asks, hopefully this never happens, but what is your plan after YouTube inevitably fails? Or if you retire, how far are you from it? And what would you like to do after you hang it up someday? I don't ever really want to retire, man. I think I would get bored. I want to be like Warren Buffett, where I'm like in my 90s and still doing stuff. But I do think inevitably YouTube will disappear for everybody. Everybody will eventually move on from YouTube. So, I mean, I'll probably do something product related since I've been doing that so long already. I've been reviewing products since something like 2008. But maybe I'll be selling the product, or I'll be doing some sort of online marketplace. Maybe I'll be a consultant. I'm not sure. Now, I don't think I'm anywhere near retiring anytime soon, but I'll probably always be doing something related to products. Before I go, I want to elaborate upon something that was mentioned in comments in my last Q&A. Someone seemed very upset that I had mentioned memberships. The person was like, how dare you require a membership to watch your content? That's just not true. This is extra content for some of my most hardcore viewers. That's it. I've had them for over a year. It doesn't affect my posting schedule. It's just extra stuff. Someone else in reply to that said, well, money must be really tight. Well, you know, if money was really that tight, I would take one sponsorship to pay for about what 5 years of memberships does. Not everything is about money, at least not to me. But that's it for this Q&A. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.